He is a talented actor and a legend who decided to link his life with acting in order to become a good director in the future. He was a professional who was ready to get into every image, be it the iconic singer, the superhero, or even the Egyptian god. He had dreamed of directing films all his life, but it ended too early. Today, we are going to talk about the life of Chadwick Boseman, who, despite his fame, remained human. How did he get into cinema, and whom should he thank for his career? What roles led him to Black Panther, and what was the cause of his unexpected death? You're on the Biographer channel. Get comfortable, and let's start. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was born on November 29, 1976 in Anderson, South Carolina. The boy's childhood was also spent there. Chadwick grew up in the African-American family of Carolyn and Leroy Boseman. His mother was a nurse. His father worked in a textile factory and ran an upholstery business. The boy was the third child in the family, but he did not lack parental love. Their family had a lot of relatives. "We weren't rich, but I had what I needed. When my grandmother died, she left 115 grandkids and great-grandkids. That was just one side." According to Boseman, DNA analysis showed that some of his ancestors were Creole and Limba people from Sierra Leone, and Yoruba people from Nigeria. His brothers Derek Boseman and Kevin Boseman were a few years older than him. Derek, the firstborn of the family, is a preacher in Tennessee. Kevin is a combination of comedian, dancer, and podcaster. And it was Kevin who inspired Chadwick at an early age.
My brother actually was into the arts. He did musical theater, he danced. Because he did that, I think I saw it as a possibility. But other than him, nobody around me saw that as a viable career.
Since childhood, the youngest of the Bosemans had several hobbies. He wanted to become an architect, played basketball with pleasure, and in his youth was engaged in martial arts. Later, he will continue this training in adulthood. In addition, the boy was raised a Christian and was baptized. In childhood, he became a member of a church choir and a youth group. Chadwick also studied Hebrew and knew both the Old and New Testaments well. And years later, his former pastor will remember how Chadwick kept his faith to the end. Chadwick attended T.L. Hanna High School, where he played on the school basketball team. However, in addition to sports hobbies, Boseman also had intellectual ones. So, in junior high, he wrote his first play, Crossroads, and staged it at school after the incident when his classmate was shot. He also participated in speeches and debates at the National Speech and Debate Association at T.L. Hanna. Chadwick took 8th place in the original oratory at the 1995 national tournament. Going to high school, I'd see Confederate flags on trucks. I know what it's like to be a kid in an ice cream shop where some little white kid calls you an N-word. But your parents tell you to calm down because they know it could blow up. We even had trucks try to run us off the road. Showing good results, Boseman graduated from high school in 1995. He was immediately invited to play college basketball, but chose art instead. He was attracted to drama. The boy entered Howard University in Washington, D.C., and successfully graduated in 2000 with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Directing. While studying at Howard, he worked in an African-American-oriented bookstore near the university. This store, according to his girlfriend Vanessa German, was very important and inspiring for him. Over time, he used this experience to create his play Hieroglyphic Graffiti. Among his teachers at Howard were American actor and director Al Freeman Jr. and actress, singer, and director Felicia Rashad, who became his mentor, so that Boseman and his other classmates could attend the Oxford Summer Program of the British American Drama Academy at Balliol College, Oxford in England, where they were accepted. Felicia organized a fundraiser. In particular, thanks to his friend, the famous actor Denzel Washington, the fundraising was successful and Chadwick got access to the program.
I got a beneficiary letter and it said, Denzel Washington paid for you, and I was like, what?
That's what I did.
You can imagine how happy Chadwick was at that moment. Probably as much as our Biographer team when you subscribe to our channel, thereby letting us know that our work is not in vain. Boseman wanted to write and direct and initially began studying acting to know how to build relationships with actors. He attended the Oxford program in 1998 and appreciated the drama of William Shakespeare, including studying the works of various playwrights like Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter. While studying at college, Chadwick visited Africa for the first time, working in Ghana with his professor Mike Malone. It was to preserve and celebrate rituals with performances on a proscenium stage, one of the most significant learning experiences of my life. Later, this trip would play an important role in his career. Upon returning to the States, Chadwick completed an additional course of film studies, graduating from New York City's Digital Film Academy. From that moment, his smooth immersion into the world of big cinema began. In the early noughties, Chadwick arrived in New York and settled in Brooklyn. Compared to many other actors, Chadwick did not immediately get into the cinema. Instead, he was appointed Drama League Directing Fellow. So, at the beginning of his career, he directed productions including George C. Wolfe's The Colored Museum and Amiri Baraka's Dutchman. By the way, it was George C. Wolfe who will direct a very important role of Chadwick in the future. After that, from 2002 to 2009, Boseman worked as a drama instructor at the Schomburg Junior Scholars Program, located at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem. Even then, Chadwick received his first fame. He became known as a playwright and theater actor, having played in several productions and received an Aldelco Award in 2002 for his role in Ron Milner's Urban Transitions. Also, as a member of the National Shakespeare Company of New York, he played the roles of Romeo in Romeo and Juliet and Malcolm in Macbeth. In parallel, Chadwick directed and wrote plays as part of the hip-hop theater movement. Among his early works were the already mentioned Hieroglyphic Graffiti and Rhyme Deferred, where he performed one of the roles and co-authored with university classmate Camilla Forbes. Rhyme Deferred was ordered for a national tour and also featured in the anthology of works The Fire This Time, while Hieroglyphic Graffiti was staged at a wide variety of locations, including the National Black Theater Festival in 2001. Combining contemporary African-American culture with Egyptian deities, Hieroglyphic Graffiti was staged in Washington and was continued by the New York Hip Hop Theater Festival and Tennessee State University's Summer Stock Theater in 2002. Later, the performance was shown at the Kuntu Repertory Theater. During the Hip Hop Theater Festival of 2002, Chadwick gave a solo performance of Red Clay and Carved Concrete, which allowed him to reveal his acting skills. So, he began to attract attention as an aspiring talented actor, and NBC invited him to play a minor role in the series Third Watch. In the same year, Boseman began playing Reggie Montgomery in the daytime soap opera All My Children. However, having seen racist stereotypes in the script, he expressed concerns about this to the producers of the series and was fired. Boseman wanted to avoid stereotypes about his character, feeling that participating in a soap opera would give him more space to improvise. Screenwriters often don't plan the full story initially. But when he found out that the parents of his character in the script were a drug addict and an absent father, Chadwick argued with the creators. He later reflected on that experience in a speech to Howard University graduates in 2018. It seemed to be wrapped up in assumptions about us as black folks, and I would have to make something out of nothing. Nevertheless, the actor influenced the situation. Subsequently, the role was reworked and it was taken over by Boseman's future partner in the film Black Panther, Michael B. Jordan. And Chadwick himself took up other television projects, playing in episodes of Law & Order, Cold Case, CSI New York, and ER. 2004 was fundamental for Chadwick. Under his leadership and the Congo Square Theater Company in Chicago, the play Deep Azure was staged. The play, consisting mainly of poems narrating police brutality, was staged at the Apollo Theater in New York. It became quite a bold statement. According to Boseman, it was a fusion and progression of his previous plays. The Chicago Tribune drama critic Chris Jones praised the work. The play was nominated for the Jeff Award for Best New Work in 2006. 2 years later, Boseman adapted the play Deep Azure into a screenplay. Soon, Michael Green will become his agent and will take this idea. Tessa Thompson and Omari Hardwick will show interest in the main roles, thereby pushing Chadwick to move to Los Angeles. However, before that, a year earlier, he still managed to write, produce, and direct the short film Blood Over a Broken Pawn, which by that time was marked as successful at the 2008 Hollywood Black Film Festival. In 2008, Chadwick moved to Los Angeles to continue his film and acting career. It went up rapidly. Boseman played a minor role in the television series Lincoln Heights as Nathaniel Ray Taylor, an Army veteran with post-traumatic stress disorder. He appeared in 9 episodes. Then, he made his debut in his first full-length sports film, The Express, the Ernie Davis story, as running back Floyd Little. The film received good reviews, and Chadwick met Nicole Beharie on the set, and in a few years, she would become his partner on the set in another sports film.
It's to be just like you. The best nigga running back in the NCAA. Heisman Trophy all the way. Then the NFL, make some money.
In 2010, Boseman got his first permanent role in the TV series Persons Unknown as the Marine Graham McNair. The show received mediocre reviews, which stated that all the characters were only archetypes with poor development. In 2012, Boseman also starred in the independent film The Kill Hole. But in parallel, Chadwick continued to engage in production activities, and in July of the same year, the premiere of Boseman's second short film, where he performed as a director, Heaven, took place at the Holly Shorts Film Festival. He really liked directing, and while doing it during this period of time, he even thought about quitting acting in order to fully devote time to his favorite activity. Boseman was directing an off-Broadway play in the East Village when he received an invitation to audition for the lead role of legendary baseball player Jackie Robinson in the movie 42. Besides him, about 25 other actors were seriously considered for this role. But director Brian Helgeland appreciated the courage of Chadwick, who decided to read the most difficult scene at the audition. Boseman chose a scene in which Robinson descends the stadium tunnel and breaks the bat in a rage, thanks to which Brian Helgeland gave him the role. Part of the audition process was playing baseball, and although Boseman was involved with Little League as a child, he was still primarily a basketball player. Apparently, in this part of the selection, the casting directors noted his athleticism and athletic qualities rather than baseball skills. To replicate Robinson's mannerisms, Boseman trained for 5 months with professional baseball coaches who recorded his workouts every few weeks and used split screen to match his technique with Robinson's so he could compare. After receiving the role, the actor first talked to Robinson's widow, Rachel, which according to him helped a lot in revealing the character's personality. Rachel Robinson commented positively on the film. Chadwick Boseman's performance allowed her to see her husband again. In April of 2013, Chadwick visited the White House where First Lady Michelle Obama gave a speech about the film. The project was a success. Even those critics who reacted negatively to the film felt that Boseman was still an advantage of the picture, personifying the icon of sports. Although he was a relatively unknown actor. Mick LaSalle of San Francisco Chronicle wrote that played by Chadwick Boseman, Robinson is a hero we can recognize. Film critic Dana Stevens of Slate suggested that the film showed a black history of squeaky clean, and film critic Mary Poles for Time said, Boseman is not a hugely close physical match to Robinson except for fits and the power he conveys, but he's a great choice to play the ball player. In 2014, Chadwick continued to appear in short films, playing in Draft Day as fictional football player Vontae Mack. His partners on the set were Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner. Boseman agreed to the role of Vontae Mack after a Skype conversation with director Ivan Reitman. At first, the actor wasn't sure if he wanted to play another athlete or star in another sports movie right after 42. Moreover, Chadwick had to play a student-age character being at the age of 37, but he still agreed, and the film received restrained reviews and success. At the same time, he was working on a production of Tupac Shakur's jukebox musical Holler If You Hear Me, but did not perform with him on Broadway. Chadwick got the role of James Brown in 2014's Get On Up and decided to pay more attention to this project. In the role of Brown, Boseman himself sang a little and performed all the dances, devoting 5 to 8 hours a day for 2 months to prepare with choreographer Akamon Jones. Even between filming, Chadwick remained in character on the set. However, this was not a method of preparation, but rather a forced measure to keep the vocal cords able to imitate the unusual Brown's southern drawl.
You son of a bitch! Son, what you say to me?
Fuck you.
You better get on out of here right. You ain't gonna make me come out myself. You better get on out of here right now.
Mick Jagger, who was the producer of the film, advised him to also interact with the audience during the performance of live music. Chadwick, who didn't really want to star in another biopic so soon, recently performed the sports icon, saying in an interview, "I wasn't looking to do it again for another 15 to 20 years." However, the actor was the only choice of director Tate Taylor. His co-star, Dan Aykroyd, who personally knew Brown, praised Chadwick's performance. He said it didn't look like copying or imitation, and he didn't have to squint sitting across from Boseman to imagine that he was talking to Brown. The film received good reviews from critics, and many noted Chadwick Boseman as the main highlight of the picture. Among Times critics, Richard Corliss, hyperbolizing his opinion, said that Boseman deserves a Pulitzer, a Nobel, and instant election to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Donald Clark of the Irish Times said that the film tested every weapon in the actor's arsenal, and his performance confirmed that, like a star from Hollywood's golden age, Chadwick Boseman could do it all and do it all with style. The critical consensus of the Rotten Tomatoes service reads, "With an unforgettable Chadwick Boseman in the starring role, Get On Up offers the Godfather of Soul a fittingly dynamic homage." Chadwick met his first great fame. He still wanted to be a director, and in the same year sold Universal Pictures the script of his thriller. He worked on it with creative partner Logan Coles. But in an interview with The Guardian, Chadwick said that he first wanted to explore his acting career. Maybe it will be easier to do it by becoming a successful actor. What do you think? Should Chadwick have taken up directing? After all, then his path would have turned out quite differently. Write your opinion in the comments. And also let us know which famous director's biography would you like to know more about. We listen to the wishes of our subscribers. In 2015, Chadwick began dating singer Taylor Simone Ledward, but the actor kept his love life a secret. For the first time, Boseman and Ledward were spotted together at Los Angeles International Airport. It was shortly after the girl graduated from California State Polytechnic University, majoring in music industry studies. However, no one knows exactly how the couple got acquainted. The following year was especially important for him. He first appeared as Thoth, a deity from Egyptian mythology, in Gods of Egypt. Nicolaj Coster-Waldau, Brenton Thwaites, Elodie Young, Courtney Eaton, Rufus Swell, Gerard Butler, and Jeffrey Rush became partners on the set. Thus, Chadwick was one of the few colored actors featured in the film. The film was criticized for the incorrect portrayal of Egyptian characters. Boseman agreed with the criticism, saying that this prompted him to accept the role. It guaranteed that one of the African actors would be played by a person of African descent. For Chadwick, it was the first film with an impressive budget of $140 million. However, the picture failed and received 5 nominations at the 37th Golden Raspberry Awards, and the studio lost $90 million. According to critics, the movie lacked a plot or interesting characters, but Boseman makes for nice comic relief as the witty Thoth, and he was the only character in the cast who seems to really understand the film he is in.
Your father dropped his guard. That was not only extremely stupid, but now I'm forced to write down everything I know as a defense against the remote possibility that such war finds me.
It was Chadwick Boseman's first project to actively use CGI, and although he said he preferred to play with people rather than with blue screens and understudies, everything will change soon. After all, Chadwick signed a contract with Marvel Entertainment to appear in 5 films. And now, a truly great fame was waiting for him. In 2016, Boseman portrayed the on-screen role of T'Challa, better known as Black Panther in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the first film in this role was Captain America: Civil War. He didn't have an audition for this role. Instead, there was a discussion about what Marvel wanted to make, how he saw it, and what he wanted to do and offer. Working on Civil War, Chadwick learned some Xhosa from John Kani, who played his father and insisted on his character's use of language. In addition, Boseman independently developed the Wakandan accent and used it throughout the production of the picture, regardless of whether he was in the frame or not.
We in Wakanda were forced to question our legacy.
In an interview with journalist Ryan Gilbey, answering the question, did he feel pressure not to screw up his favorite comic book character, the actor replied, "It's more positive than that. It's more like, seize it, enjoy it." The actor admitted that he did not like comics as a child, but while preparing for the role, he read everything that could be found about his character and even more.
You read all of them because, our movie is not based just upon one version. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of each version. But that's what I love about our movie, just from a comic book standpoint.
He even prayed to become a Black Panther before being cast as the character. Later, in an interview with the Associated Press, Chadwick said he identified more with the Black Panther nemesis Killmonger, knowing that his roots with his African past had been severed. I was born with some Killmonger in me, and I have learned to T'Challa through my studies. The appearance of Chadwick in the role of Black Panther in Civil War was due to the fact that the creators needed a fresh point of view in the conflict between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, a third party that is not connected with the Avengers. Chadwick Boseman's performance was again highly appreciated, and everyone, including critics, understood that such an appearance of the character was connected with his upcoming solo film. That's what happened when Black Panther was released in 2018, which focused on Boseman's superhero and his home country of Wakanda. This is where the actor's experience from his trip to Africa came in handy. It's the place where you start. All African Americans, unless you have some direct connection, have been severed from that past. There's things that cannot be tracked. You were a product, sold. So it's very difficult as an African American to connect at some points directly to Africa. I have made that part of my search in my life. So those things were already there when I got into the role. He and Michael B. Jordan became good friends thanks to the filming. During their training, they spent time together and engaged in martial arts, which Chadwick studied as a child. The film caused great expectations of the public and soon became one of the highest-grossing films. This role earned Boseman a place in the 2018 Time 100, ranking as one of the most influential people in the world. The film is considered a milestone in that it became the first mega-budget project with a predominantly Black cast and director, and also became the first superhero film to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. The film was also well received by critics, and Boseman was praised for his efforts. He brings a measure of sub-Shakespearean gravitas to T'Challa's struggle to bear the weight of his crown. Soon, he reprised his role in the final parts of the superhero saga Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. The filming of Infinity War took place in parallel with the filming of Black Panther, because Boseman and other actors from Wakanda improvised enchanting scenes, thanks to which they were used in both films. The Avengers became the highest-grossing projects of 2018 and 2019, and Endgame became the highest-grossing film of all time. And for Boseman, it was no less a pleasant success. During the welcoming speech at the NAACP Image Awards ceremony in March of 2019, Chadwick expressed separately his speech of gratitude to his girlfriend, Taylor Simone Ledward. "Simone, you're with me every day. I have to acknowledge you right now. I love you." The girl responded with an air kiss and the words, "I love you." And after half a year, evidence began to appear online that the couple got engaged. Although they have never publicly confirmed the engagement, keen-eyed fans noticed Ledward's gorgeous engagement ring at the Lakers-Clippers match. It's easy to see from the photos and sweet moments that the love between them was sacred and strong. But as usually happens in life, a dark stripe is followed by a light one, and a light one is followed by a dark one. In 2016, Boseman was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, which continued to progress. Chadwick has never spoken publicly about his cancer diagnosis, and according to The Hollywood Reporter, only a handful of non-family members knew that Boseman was sick, with varying degrees of knowledge about the severity of his condition. But despite his illness and treatment, which included several surgeries and chemotherapy, he continued to work on films and act.
Have you ever not had that moment where you've been let down?
Of course. Of course.
And how did you respond to it?
You just have to go to the next thing.
By the way, on our second channel, we told the story of another legend who suffered from various diseases, but who stubbornly continued to engage in creativity. We are talking about Michael Jackson. Click on the link in the right corner to find out about the last years of the life of the king of pop music and know who is responsible for his death. Continuing to perform in the role of T'Challa, Chadwick voiced an alternate version of the Disney Plus animated series character What If, and began work on the sequel to the solo superhero film Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. In addition to working with Marvel, the actor also worked on other projects in parallel. In 2017, Boseman portrayed Thurgood Marshall in the biopic Marshall. The film takes place several years before he became the first African-American judge of the Supreme Court and focuses on one of the Marshall's cases, the trial of Joseph Spell. Boseman was still worried about being put in a biographical box with such roles and felt that he didn't look like the real Marshall enough. But he accepted the role because he liked the script, which was separate from the historical relevance. Chadwick studied Marshall thoroughly before portraying him and also watched videos of him talking and losing muscle mass to reflect the young Marshall's weary physique.
You know, once I read it, I realized that that really wasn't important. It's you know, each movie you do about a real person, it's like it's a painting, and you choose certain things in the painting that you want to pull out and you want to show. So for this one, it was the spirit of the man. He lives hard, he works hard, he fights hard. So I wanted to show, you know, this person who just was an interesting person.
The premiere of the film took place at Howard University, and when Chadwick came to it, it seemed as if Marshall himself was standing on the red carpet. The film was met with moderate critical acclaim, although Boseman's performance was highly praised. The box office numbers did not justify themselves at all, but Marvel's projects provided the actor with a soft pillow. In 2019, Chadwick appeared in the action thriller 21 Bridges. There, he played the role of an NYPD detective who was forced to block 21 Manhattan bridges in order to find 2 suspects in the murder of a policeman. The producers of the film were the Russo brothers, who directed the last parts of the Avengers. During the premiere of Infinity War, they invited Boseman to work on this project. Boseman also produced 21 Bridges. Initially, all the characters in the film were conceived as white men, but Boseman encouraged edits of such moments of history. As a producer, Chadwick invited actress Sienna Miller to become his partner in the film. Miller was going to take a break from acting until her little daughter grew up and asked for a salary that the studio could not afford. Then, Chadwick Boseman donated the missing amount from his fee. He also personally called Stephen James to ask him to play one of the criminals being hunted by Detective Boseman. The actors planned to work more together after this film. To prepare for the movie, Chadwick developed his character through call trips with the NYPD and LAPD. This influenced the script after he told the creators about his experience, learned how to handle weapons and shoot blanks, thanks to a police weapons specialist. Unfortunately, the film received mixed reviews at the release. Critics received it with a coolness, but the cast with Chadwick Boseman was highly appreciated. And soon, in the same year, the actor was announced as part of the cast in 2 Netflix projects, Da 5 Bloods, directed by Spike Lee, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, directed by George C. Wolfe. He chose these 2 coveted roles as an opportunity to work with Spike Lee and with Ma Rainey producer Denzel Washington. As we remember, Denzel had been Chadwick's mentor since his student days, when he paid for a summer program for him and 9 other students.
There is no Black Panther without Denzel Washington.
No less important for him was the opportunity to perform in the play of the same name by August Wilson, on which the film was based. Chadwick was such a big fan of August Wilson that in 2013 he even wrote an essay in the Los Angeles Times about him and how he inspired his own work. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Boseman said, "I wanted to make these non-superhero films because if you don't do the films that you plan to do, I think you wouldn't feel fulfilled as an artist." Choosing Boseman for Da 5 Bloods for the role of the divine character Stormin' Norman, Lee said that this character is heroic. He's a superhero. Who do we cast? We cast Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, and we cast T'Challa. The film was released in June of 2020 and received mostly positive reviews. Boseman was noted by most critics as having regal charisma, with movie star charisma and classic war movie grit, and was a perfect casting move, as the actor already had sufficient status in Black culture to become a plausible mythical Black icon of the film. But unfortunately, this was the last film of Chadwick Boseman, the premiere of which he could see. Colon cancer caused complications for the actor's health, and on August 28, 2020, his heart stopped beating forever. Chadwick Boseman died in his home among his family and the woman he loved. According to his parents, the actor managed to marry Taylor Simone Ledward a couple of months earlier. The details of the wedding of Boseman and Ledward remained a secret. He died without a will because his estate will be regulated by California law with the participation of his wife. Chadwick was 43 years old. I always try to think about Chad, not Chadwick. His brother Kevin Boseman recalls the actor. When I had to share him with the world, I appreciated the opportunity to treat him like a brother. Chad was talented, the most talented person I know. He always gave his best 100%. Success is not about becoming the most popular in Hollywood. If Chad wanted to do art, he could have also taken care of himself. Actor Michael B. Jordan took his death seriously, writing a touching Instagram post. I've been trying to find the words, but nothing comes close to how I feel. I've been reflecting on every moment, every conversation, every laugh, every disagreement, every hug, everything. I wish we had more time. The actors were not only partners on the Black Panther set, but also real friends in life. One of the last times we spoke, you said we were forever linked, and now the truth of that means more to me than ever. Starting with All My Children, when I was 16 years old, you paved the way for me. I'm dedicating the rest of my days to live the way you did, with grace, courage, and no regrets. Is this your king? Yes, he is. Rest in power, brother. Many fellow actors and other celebrities paid tribute to Boseman on social media after the news of his death, including a number of his colleagues in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Studios president and commercial director Kevin Feige called Boseman's death absolutely devastating, saying each time he stepped on set, he radiated charisma and joy, and each time he appeared on screen, he created something truly indelible. Now he takes his place as an icon for the ages.
He's a historical figure as the Black Panther, but also such a good and decent human being.
Sometime later, Major League Baseball and the Los Angeles Dodgers, where Robinson once played, honored Boseman's memory. During the Los Angeles Lakers and Portland Trailblazers match in the NBA playoffs, Boseman was honored with a moment of silence alongside Cliff Robinson and Lute Olson. And when Lewis Hamilton, the only black driver in Formula One, won the 2020 Belgium Grand Prix, he dedicated his victory to Chadwick Boseman. On September 4th, 2020, a public memorial ceremony was held in Anderson, South Carolina, attended by many of Chadwick's friends and performed by Boseman's childhood pastor, as well as Deanna Brown Thomas, the daughter of James Brown, whom Boseman played in Get On Up. The city announced plans to create a permanent art memorial in memory of Chadwick. A petition was even created for Change.org, which in less than a week gathered 50,000 votes instead of the required 15,000, with a request to replace the Confederate monument in his hometown of Anderson with a statue of Chadwick Boseman. Henry McMaster, the governor of South Carolina, ordered the flags of the State House to be lowered on August 30th in honor of Boseman, who was born and raised here. And the ABC TV channel aired Black Panther for free, followed by a special issue about the life and work of Boseman called Chadwick Boseman, A Tribute for a King.
End of the third Avengers, the Infinity War, there's this, we all kind of lose together. And I remember it was one of those few days that all of the Avengers were together, and it was just the way that he walked on set and the immense success that had occurred, and rightfully so, with Black Panther. And he was just in this kind of stratus of his own, and but always humble, always hardworking, always a smile on his face, and now looking back, all the more I realized just what an incredibly graceful human being.
On September 24th, Disney unveiled a mural titled King Chad by artist Nicholas Smith, dedicated to Boseman at Downtown Disney in Anaheim, California. In February of the same year, another mural dedicated to the actor was written at Trilith Studios in Fayetteville, Georgia, by artist Brandon Sadler. Shortly after the actor's death, the last film with his participation, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, was released, where Boseman played trumpeter Levi. The director of the film said that Chadwick was excited about the role because of the test that she put in front of him. Director Wolf said, "It's a monster role and it's a thrilling role. It's a difficult role. All of those things are exhilarating for an actor, and Boseman rose to the occasion and more than delivered." Boseman played the cornet throughout the film, although Levi was traditionally portrayed as a trumpeter. Critics were absolutely delighted with the film and Chadwick Boseman's performance. The actor posthumously received nominations in the category of Best Actor at the Academy Awards, the British Academy Film Awards, Golden Globe Awards, and Screen Actors Guild Awards. With the help of this film, Chadwick Boseman became the first posthumous Golden Globe winner and Oscar nominee in the acting category after Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. The actor is also the first Black artist to be posthumously nominated for an Oscar. Anthony Hopkins, winning Best Actor at the Academy Awards, said in his speech, "I want to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who was taken from us far too early, and again, thank you all very much." Plans for the film Black Panther: Wakanda Forever had changed, and it was decided not to shoot the continuation of the story of T'Challa with another actor. In November of 2020, it was confirmed that the rest of the cast would return to their roles, honoring the memory of Chadwick Boseman. The premiere of the film should take place very soon and is scheduled for November 11, 2022. After his death, the actor's older brother Derek offered to resurrect the character in the sequel to Black Panther, but this proposal did not result in anything. In addition to his acting, Boseman supported various charities. He worked with cancer charities, including St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. He continued to support those who are struggling with the disease until he died of it. In a message to the producer a few days before his death, Chadwick was interested in sending gifts to children with cancer. He also donated $10,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of Harlem to provide free tickets to all children who wanted to watch Black Panther. This helped support the Black Panther Challenge, started by a New Yorker to raise money for the same kids across the country. Boseman advocated for children's charities, and the Jackie Robinson Foundation noted after his death that the actor helped them work with young people. When Disney planned to donate $400 million to charity, Boseman supported this idea. And in April of 2020, he donated $4.2 million for personal protective equipment to hospitals fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in Black communities, launching his own Operation 42 challenge to encourage others to donate for personal protective equipment. No matter how difficult it was for him in life, he always tried to do something good for everyone. Whether it's issues of racial inequality, social issues, or just cinema.
There's a certain fulfillment of faith that doing this has, because you don't have a steady job. You know, no matter how well you're doing, you're still trying to find what is the next thing. And when this job is over, you're like, well, what's the next one? And if I know what it might be 6 months from now, like, what's gonna keep me going? And so that.
Chadwick lived a short but wonderful life, which was interrupted by a serious illness. In the future, the day will come when humanity will be able to overcome cancer and probably will once again remember Chadwick Boseman as a wonderful actor and a talented director, whose film works, unfortunately, we have not been able to know. Chadwick is not the only talented person who left this world too soon. Freddie Mercury also shocked fans with his fatal diagnosis. We talked about how he contracted the HIV infection and what he did in the last years of his life, and to whom he bequeathed his entire fortune in our other video. Click on the icon that appeared on your screen and find out all about the tragic ending of a great artist's life. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Don't forget to like this video if you haven't done it yet. We are already preparing new material for you. It was Biographer. See you soon.